Hey guys, and welcome back to the Blaze TV podcast. It's Ed Kimberley hosting as always. And my guest on this edition is new defenseman for the 2022-23 season, Tanner Lishchynsky. Tanner, really happy to have you with us for the season. Happy to have you with us on the podcast. How you doing? How's the summer been treating you?
Summer's been good. Been working lots. It's kind of okay weather here, kind of hot, kind of rainy, but no, it's been good. Been to the lake a bunch of times, bunch of weddings since COVID stopped all of them. So about 5 weddings this summer, which took a lot of time up, but no, it's been good.
Weddings are always fun though. It's always a good excuse to see people. And generally speaking, from, speaking to players on times gone by, there's always a few former teammates and guys you played against in there to mix it up with. So that's always fun.
Yeah, it was a lot of them are mainly guys I went to university with and played hockey with. So it's always a big group of guys that like to have fun together.
Fun weddings. We'll talk about your uni career in a little bit, man, because you had a hell of a time at the University of Saskatchewan. But let's talk about your junior career to start with, I guess, because you actually drafted in the WHL draft with the Giants, right, in Vancouver. But I guess things didn't work out for whatever reason. You ended up going to camp at Prince George. And I love the quote from your coach there. And he said, Tanner Lishchynsky forced us to keep him in camp. I think that's a pretty cool quote from your coach there. Tell us about that journey going into Prince George that year.
Yeah, so I got originally drafted by Vancouver. It was kind of a late draft pick, and then they ended up dropping me and then got picked up by Prince George the year after. And so I went to the camp. I didn't really know anybody and stuff, so I had to make sure I stood out. And so made sure I was the hardest working guy there, made sure I came in shape, and that's kind of how I earned my spot on the team. I was one of the most I don't know, probably worked the hardest probably of anyone if I tried to. So that's kind of how I made the team and stuck with them.
Tell us about that year though, because I guess and this is a recurring theme, by the way, you look at your CV, you read about, coaches that have had you with them, and they talk about, what kind of guy Tanner Lishchynsky is. That graft and that hard work is always at the top of the list, which is always a good thing to have. But, Prince George, they weren't making the playoffs. They had a couple of rough years there. So what was that like for, a hardworking guy like yourself? Was that a bit frustrating, turning up to the coalface every week and, not really getting the results on the board there?
Yeah, it was tough. We weren't the best team, but I was just going to be happy just to play in the WHL. So I made sure I wanted to stick in the lineup. It was kind of an up and down year my first 2 years. So it was difficult. It's never easy being on a team that's struggling like that, and especially the amount of travel and stuff we had to do was tough on a lot of guys. We had a young team, so it was a tough first couple of years, but glad I went through it. It was a good experience, and still have a lot of good friends from that team.
It's a quote that comes up quite often, but it's kind of true, right? If you face adversity, you always come out of it a stronger person, and I guess in some ways it's a bit of a blessing to have that early on in your playing career, because you know how to deal with it a little bit better as you move up the ladder there.
Yeah, I think it helped a lot. It helped me become a better leader later on and better deal with that adversity that comes with any team that's kind of struggling. So yeah, it was tough at the time, but glad I went through it.
Yeah, and you didn't really have to wait all that long in your career for some success either, right? You ended up in Yorkton in the Saskatchewan Junior Hockey League there. I mean, firstly, tell us about that switch, because obviously it's a different level to the Dub. How did the move come about?
Yeah, it was my second year, and Prince George, they're trying to make me play forward more than defense, and it was a tough scenario. I wasn't playing my right position and wasn't as happy as I am playing as good as I could have been. So decided to leave there and go to the Saskatchewan Junior Hockey League, and that was probably one of the best things for my career. Got a lot of my confidence back. Had a really good team, really good group of guys. It was a really close group, and then we ended up going all the way to the RBC Championship, which is nationals for junior A, and we ended up winning. So yeah, that was probably one of the highlights of my career and kind of set me continue to get better.
Yeah, being on a winning team, I guess, after having a couple of tough years, that really can change your perspective positively on the game of hockey. Because I know guys that they played on losing teams for 3-4 years, and it's just like, oh man, do I really want to do this anymore? So that was a blessing in disguise that year, right?
Yeah, it was perfect. That was probably one of my most fun years I've had playing hockey. So it got me love back in the game, and I'm so happy that I went there.
Championships don't often get decided in overtime. I think it was Carlton Place, right, that you guys had in the final there. Yeah. It went to OT. You scored in the game. I mean, that's going to be one of those, well, I was going to say 60-minute games, 65-minute games that stick out in the memory.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it was getting close to the end. We were down 3-1, and I remember we were in the ozone and one of our guys came off, and so I just said screw it, and I went driving to the net as fast as I could, and one of the guys came around the net, and I streamed at him, and he passed it to me, and I just fired it in. Then we scored 8 seconds later, and then we had like, I don't know how many games we went to overtime that year in playoffs, but we had a bunch. We had a ton of overtime experience. So once we knew it overtime, we knew we had a good shot, and yeah, one of our guys, Derek Falloon, just slid it in and barely crossed the line, but it was good enough. And yeah, that was quite the thrill, winning in overtime like that.
The red light went on. It was good enough. Did I read that right? You just said that you guys scored 2 goals within 8 seconds in that game.
Yeah, I think because I scored, and then as soon as the next shift, we went straight down and scored again, so tied the game up, and then went to overtime. So yeah, it was quick. It was a quick turnaround.
Oh, that. I mean, you know, when you go down in a championship game and you score 2 in quick succession, it always puts you on the right path. 8 seconds is pretty crazy. I don't think I've ever heard of something that quick before, but certainly set you up to victory in the game. And you wanted to stay in the SJ for another year. You started out in Flin Flon there, but was kind of your brain thinking, you know what, I want to crack at the WHL again. You know, that's the level that I want to be at. That's the league I want to be in. And did that move to Flin Flon kind of facilitate that in a way?
Yeah, because I got traded to Flin Flon then right after that, and yeah, I just kind of didn't want to have to deal with some of the stuff in the WHL, and so I was kind of happy to stay in the Saskatchewan Junior Hockey League. And then after Christmas, got picked up by Cooney and went there, and that was another big jump for my career, and had a lot of fun playing out there. It was a great city to play in, and we had another tough year my last year, but no, I'm really happy I went back to the WHL, and it kind of led me to get to the University of Saskatchewan. So I'm happy with the way it worked out.
I don't know what it is about Christmas, but it always seems to be that there are trades and acquisitions and signings around Christmas time. What was the case for you? Was it a case that a couple of guys got hurt or suspended? There was an opportunity and you just went and grabbed it?
Yeah, one of the players on Cooney had to get shoulder surgery, and so he was out here, and so they had a spot, and I went in and came one of the top 3-4 D men quickly. So it was a great opportunity for me, and took hold of it, and happy I went.
If I remember right, was it your first year that you went to the playoffs as well? And it was the Hitmen that you guys drew in the first round. They were the top seed. I mean, the Hitmen have been around forever. I mean, they produced some great players. They're always one of the top teams. And you took them to Game 7. That was a really close series too.
Yeah, we had a pretty good team. They had just a little more depth than we did, but we had a good close series. Went 7 games. Last game could have went either way, but yeah, no, that was a ton of fun playing in Calgary, then back home, go to 7 games like that for playoffs. It was it was a fun experience.
Do you ever think? I mean, I'm assuming that the higher ranking seed get the home ice when it comes down to Game 7. Do you ever look back on that and think, man, if that was in our barn, things could have been a little different?
Yeah, that obviously plays a big factor, but yeah, they were a strong team, and they just had, I think, that little couple extra lines that we didn't have, and so yeah, they were a good team. It's just the way it went.
Well, that's one of those things sometimes. But another thing that was good to kind of, I guess, rebound from that next year, and I don't know what the story is, you're going to have to tell us this, but how did the coach come up, tap you on the shoulder and say, hey, I'm going to get you to wear the captain's badge this year? How did that come about?
Yeah, I started as assistant captain, and then the captain that was there got traded to Red Deer. And then so, yeah, he asked me shortly after that if I wanted to be captain, and of course I took it. And yeah, it was a really great honor being captain in a junior hockey team.
How rare is that? Because, like, I mean, you know, when you get drafted by a WHL team, you know, you can be there for a couple of years, you can be there for like 5 or right up into your overage year. And I might be completely wrong here, but a lot of the times I see this trend of guys have been with the organization from, you know, pretty much their 16 year, then they get the captain a little bit later down the road. For a guy to walk in halfway through the year beforehand and then get the C on his chest, that must be a pretty rare thing. And like you said, an honor.
Yeah, it was a pretty big honor. There was only a lot of times it's usually one of the 20-year-olds, and there's usually only 3, so it kind of depends that way. But no, I was ecstatic to be named captain. It's a pretty big honor to having something good put on your resume. So yeah, I feel like I worked my way to get there and learned a lot about being a leader that year. So yeah, it was a pretty great honor.
Do you remember Wyatt Hofflin? I think he was your goalie that year.
Yeah.
You ever seen the quote from him about you from when you guys graduated?
I haven't seen. I played against him a few times in university, but I haven't talked to him in a while. He lives in I think he lives in Edmonton now. So yeah, I haven't seen him in a while.
He has an awesome quote from when you guys left the WH. I think he'd committed to Uni Sask at this point, and it was maybe after the exit meetings, and the Kootenay media team sat a couple of the guys down, and he said, and you might get a kick out of this. Tanner is a perfect example of how hard work gets you anywhere in this league. That's quite a nice thing for your old goalie to say about you, eh?
Yeah, I didn't know he even said that. So yeah, I actually have to look that up. Put up. Yeah, it's pretty nice of him. Yeah, he was always a good friend of mine, and he was a really good goalie too. So yeah, I liked him.
Yeah, for sure. Talk to us about committing to the University of Saskatchewan. Then obviously you're a Sasky boy. Was that kind of proximity to home after doing a bit of traveling through your time in the Dub a factor? And the kind of schooling there, because you do agriculture, right?
Yeah. So yeah, it was Saskatchewan was obviously on my top of my list. I wanted to come back home, and a lot of my buddies were deciding to come back home and then get to live at home and go to school was obviously the biggest factor. My brother went to the University of Saskatchewan, so yeah, it was an easy pick. I had some visits out east and stuff, and it would have been cool for maybe 1 year, but to do all my 4 years back at home made a huge difference. It's one of the best times of my life. We have such a tight group of all kind of Saskatchewan guys, and such a big alumni. We have guys back from like the 70s and 80s that still come to all our events and come to alumni skates. So it's a crazy group. They all help us get jobs and stuff now. It's a close, tight-knit community that I'm really proud to be that was part of Saskatchewan and got to be captain too for my last 2 years. So it was a great time. And then the agriculture, I started in kinesiology, but then decided to kind of go into agriculture business. That's kind of my background. Both my parents grew up on farms. My dad still has his and farms grain and stuff on the side. So I spent a lot of my time out there. That's kind of where the hard work ethic kind of came from. You're just kind of instilled into you right at a young age. So that's where I kind of went with my degree, and was happy to get it. I think I had a lot of good ag jobs already so far. So excited to keep kind of moving forward with it.
Yeah, that kind of makes sense now. It's that work ethic's in the blood. That's twigged somewhere. I like that. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
But I think one thing that maybe people would take for granted is, generally speaking in pro hockey, you don't, spend more than a couple of years in one place if you're lucky and you play in the coast and you keep coming back every year. So to have 4 or 5 seasons in one place, pretty close to home, in a great community, and you hear nothing but good things about the University of Saskatchewan community. It must have been such a revitalizing thing for you after, you were pretty much traveling all across the West Coast there for a while.
Yeah, no, it meant everything to come back home and then spend all 4 or 5 years here was a huge honor. It made everything so much easier. You're not constantly worrying about where you're going next year. You're not worrying about constantly getting traded or stuff like that. So coming back home and going to a university such as good as University of Saskatchewan made a lot of good relationships with all kinds of people higher up and everything in the university. So I'm honored to be alumni now and continue to help them out too when I can.
It's not very often you hear this either, but you guys went to the playoffs every single year that you were there too, right?
Yeah, we made playoffs every year, and then we went to nationals every year too, and came close a few times. We lost my first year in the national final, but last year we won the West at least. And so we had a good team every year. There's always 3 or 4 teams right at the top there. Both Calgary teams in Alberta we're always kind of battling with all 4 of them. So yeah, we were happy, and happy we had a good group of guys that kind of all mixed together pretty well. So it's nice.
Were you captain the year that you guys won Canada West too?
Yeah, that was my last year. And I was supposed to play my 5th year too, but then COVID shut that down, so we didn't get to play that. But yeah, I was captain that year too, assistant the year before.
I was going to say that's one way to end your youth sports career. I can't think of a better bang realistically that you could have gone out with. Was it the kind of roughly the same kind of group that you kept together throughout those 4 or 5 years? I know obviously there's turnover because of the age. Guys graduate, they move on to pro or they retire. But did you manage to keep kind of quite a large part of that core?
Oh yeah. It's really tight. We have from when I started, the guys that were up their 5th years, we're all really close. We do a golf tournament every year of all of us together. And we have a group chat, and we're all pretty close in the city still together. So we get together almost once a week, if not more, with guys. We have guys all play senior hockey, we golf together lots, play ball and all kinds of things. So no, we have a really tight knit group, and that's why one of the main reasons I wanted to go there. It's just I knew so many guys, and we always kind of mixed together well, so it's fun.
Everybody I speak to, like in the world of pro hockey, we've done quite a few of these podcasts coming into the new season, has been affected by COVID in some way. Definitely their careers have been. You had that last year kind of washed away. You guys couldn't play that year. And you look down your resume at U Sports. You won Canada West in the last year you were there. You were an all academic for all 4 years that you were there. You clearly got a great education under you. Were you kind of tempted with that kind of COVID pro year and kind of really making it difficult to find a playing gig to go? You know what? I don't have anything left in the game of hockey. I'm going to go hang them up, maybe play some beer league, have a bit of fun. What kind of decision did you like? How did your thought process go to say, I'm not done here, I want to play some pro?
Yeah, it was tough because COVID obviously shut everything down, and you go from playing hockey every year of your life to also just being taken away and you can't do anything about it. So it was a tough year, obviously, for everybody. So not just me, but I didn't know. I was looking at agriculture jobs and what I kind of wanted to do. Then I was finishing my last year of school there, and then didn't really have much of a plan. And then all of a sudden, probably close to August, I started getting calls from ECHL teams and some in the EI league, and I was deciding what I was going to do. And then my brother was getting married at New Year's, so I knew I couldn't go to the EI league, so I knew I probably wouldn't be able to come back in time. So I decided maybe I'll go try the East Coast League and just see how it was. I got an offer from Tulsa Oilers, and so I decided to go down there and try it out. And it was a great experience. I was happy I went and did it. It was cool to play pro hockey in the States like that, and so that's kind of how that came about.
I say there is a bit of a running joke. I have a running joke that we seem to sign a lot of guys who've got the Oilers as part of their alumni group. What is it about that community that draws people in? Because I spoke to, I'm going to say double figures of guys that have played in Tulsa, and no one has a bad word to say about it.
Yeah, no, it's a cool city. It's big enough. It's got everything you need. It's got a big, nice big rink and a good, pretty good fan base too. We had quite a bit of fans come out for our games, which was fun. And yeah, no, it was a good experience. It's in it's in Oklahoma there, so it's nice and warm. I didn't have to sit in the -30 in Saskatchewan for the whole winter, so that was nice. And yeah, no, it was just a good group of people. We had a good group of guys. We had a fun year. Traveling got kind of tough there for a bit, but no, it's a good place to play. I got a lot of good things to say about it.
What is it about you in Game 7s? This time it was Utah, right? And I think they were the top seed in the East Coast last year.
Yeah, that was a tough one. We were down 3-2. We came back in had a great Game 6, and then Game 7. I would just say they had a little more depth. They probably had, I want to say 10 guys maybe on AHL deals, and we had one maybe. So that also was a big factor, but it was close. Their power play was unbelievable. They had, one of the D-men scored like 10 goals that series. It was a ton of fun playing in that rink and being in Utah, but yeah, that was a tough loss. That one hurt a bit. So, but it was fun. It was a good experience. We had a ton of fun playing playoffs that year.
Yeah. You mentioned just a minute ago that you had some offers in the EI League. Is that what you call the Elite League, the IHL?
Yeah. So yeah, same thing. Like I was talking to.
Okay.
Not offers, but talking to a couple of teams. And when my brother was getting married, I knew I had to be back for that. I was his best man. I want to make sure I could come home for that. So that's kind of why I went down to the East Coast, and that's what kind of brought me to Coventry this year too.
Yeah, no, I was just about. I mean, obviously, brother's wedding, and if you can play relatively close to home, I get you. But presumably, though, you'd already been thinking about, I've got some offers in Europe. I can go play. Particularly in an English-speaking country, and that's a big draw for guys who've not played outside of North America before. So tell us about that thought process. What kind of attracted you now at this point to playing over here?
Yeah, I've had about 7, 8 guys from the University of Saskatchewan who went out there now. I got a few other guys I've played with that are going to this league too, and a few alumni guys, and they all said they loved it. How the English speaking is obviously huge, being in a nice country like England, and yeah, getting the chance to live over in the UK and then get the chance to travel and stuff, see all those different cities in the UK, and then maybe go travel after too. So it was obviously a was a huge selling point, is living in a whole new country like this, being overseas, and then getting to play also good hockey still. And there's still maybe quite a bit of imports from North America, so it's still that kind of Canadian hockey too, to kind of get your feet wet. And yeah, I'm excited to come check it out and meet all the guys and check out Coventry. So yeah, it should be exciting.
It's crazy that it's only a couple of weeks away. Like for me, this summer's just kind of, I don't know where it's gone, but it's gone hella quick. Within that, and thinking about coming over to the UK and playing some hockey here, why Coventry out of the list?
They were one of the first teams that gave me an offer and gave me a good offer. And I talked to a few guys who have played there, and had a coach at the U of S too, who used to coach over in Scotland too. So they all had good things to say about it, and it sounded like a great place to play. And they offered me first, and so they're excited. Seemed like they were excited to have me too. So that's always a good feeling. And so that's kind of the main reason I came.
I think I might have sold you as being one of the most hardworking guys on the ice, if not the most hardworking guy on the ice. But how would you describe your game?
Yeah, obviously hard work is kind of that pinnacle, but I like being more of a defensive defenseman. I love PK and love being that kind of shutdown guy, but not afraid to play that two-way game too and step up. But my goal is just kind of simplify the game, get the puck to the forwards as quick as I can and let them do their work. But my big thing is obviously being a shutdown demon. That's kind of my goal is coming in to this year.
You're one of these crazy guys who wants the hard assignments and to stand in front of pucks, aren't you?
Yeah, I don't like blocking shots, but I'll definitely do it for the guys out there. So that's it's a lot easier doing it for someone else when you're standing in front of the shot. So yeah.
I don't think anybody likes it. Even in beer league with some of the muffins that we have to stand in front of, it's not fun. But like you said, that winning feeling is something that you just can't replicate in any other walk of life. You've had the RBC Cup, you've had so many playoff series I can't count just by scanning down my notes here. And that's your contribution. And I love that you've been successful at it. You must be really proud of that.
Yeah, no, I'm really proud of the way my career has gone, and a lot of it's the big relationships I've made with people too, especially at the University in Saskatchewan. It's going to help me in my career after hockey, and all the people I've met, all the friendships I've had. So that's kind of the biggest things I've kind of taken out of it for as far. And then also having fun and getting to travel around is obviously a big bonus too.
For sure. A couple of weeks till you're here. Is it going to be a mad scramble to get your stuff packed, or are you one of these kind of pretty organized guys who's already got one eye on the prize?
Yeah, no, I should, because I finished work last week there, so I'll have some time here to really get training hard, and then get all my stuff in a row here and get everything packed and make sure everything's ready to go. So yeah, I should start getting on that stuff pretty soon here.
Cool, that's good to hear. I would hate to have this mental image of guys. I don't know what it is, man. I think I maybe just I just need to calm down before hockey season. But I've got this mental image of some guys running around throwing stuff in their backpack, like, oh, I need to bring elbow pads. I can only find one. Geez, what am I going to do? That kind of thing. But where do I fit the golf clubs? Can I pack those? Yeah.
So yeah, it's something I got to get golf. I got a golf travel bag is one of the things on my list I got to get to make sure those get overseas. So yeah.
Priority. Well, not quite priority number one. I think probably hockey equipment probably is. Let's be honest. But priority number two, actually, that might be like underwear and stuff. You should probably have some of that. Priority number three, golf clubs. I'm with you.
Yeah.
Tanner Lishchynsky, this has been a lot of fun. I really appreciate just sitting down and getting to talk about your career, man. I really appreciate it.
Right on. Thanks for having me on, and I'm excited to meet everybody and get there over soon and get playing. So yeah, should be fun.
Yep, likewise. I mean, the summers always feel so long, like I was just saying. So really looking forward to coming back through the Sky Dome doors and getting back to the coalface. Guys, thank you so much once again for tuning in. You can probably tell that I'm really excited about the season coming up. I think we've got a great bunch of guys. I think it's just one more D-man we've got left to sign. So once that's completed, I think that'll be me ready to go, getting the suit and the notebook all ready to go, and we'll be down the Sky Dome Arena. So from Ed, from Tanner, from everybody at Blaze TV and the Coventry Blaze, thank you so much once again for tuning in, and I'll see you guys soon. Take it easy.